What's up guys, Kara Corey here, registered dietitian, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, then stick around. If you like what you see, you like me, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like button, post notification bell, all that good jazz so that you guys are notified of each and every upload. Or if you don't like me, then okay, you don't have to stick around. But today what we are going to talk about is the changes that are coming, or you may have already seen, to the nutrition facts panel on the foods that we eat. This is kind of a big deal. This is a huge update, you guys. There has not been an update to this effect in over 20 years. So it is time. It has been time, and it's January 2020, which means it is a new requirement. You're not necessarily going to see this requirement being met yet on each and every food item that you see. There are certain guidelines. So for food manufacturers with over $10 million of sales annually, then they are required effectively January 1st, 2020. For those that have less than 10 million sales annually, they are not required until 2021. So they have a full extra year to make the changes that they need to their food labels. I do have some notes here, guys, that I'm going to refer to because I don't have all the changes memorized. There are quite a few of them, so I'm going to take you through each and every one of those changes and why they're important to you. You guys need to know this information, and I have to say, from a dietitian perspective, I'm thrilled about these changes. I think we are way late to the game to even be making these changes, but I think it's a step in the right direction for those of us who are here to assist you with eating better and healthier eating. And I don't know how many times I have clients or anyone say to me they're just confused when it comes to eating. They don't know what to eat, they don't know how much to eat, and it's really, really complicated, right? It's the way we've made it. I think the changes that are happening to the food label itself is making it less complicated, number one, and it's helping you as a consumer kind of know what to focus on and what truly is important. So a lot of these changes were influenced by what influences disease rates, obesity rates, and what's not so important. So we're going to go through and highlight all the updates for you guys. These changes I do want to mention are not only going to be for food items, but the FDA is also incorporating this into supplements. So a lot of supplements are also going to be required to have the same standards so that you do see some consistency across the board between food items and supplement items. Not every single item is being held to this standard. Those that are going to be held to this standard are your packaged foods, with the exception of certain meats, poultry, and processed eggs. So no big surprise there. And things like your produce aisle, of course, you're not going to see these standards being met there. The first big change that I really like is just the overall look and formatting difference with the nutrition facts label. I actually have my favorite here, cauliflower gnocchi from Trader Joe's, which has already moved into the new food label here. So the first thing you can see that's changed is there's now an emphasis on two very important things that our eyes should be drawn to. That's serving size and that's calories. So you can see that in the new packaging and the new facts label, it's going to have calories bigger and bolder, as well as serving size. So those are kind of the first two places you should go as someone looking to read a food label and understand what it's going to do for you and if it's going to be the right choice. You always want to think about serving size and calories per serving. And so oftentimes we kind of lose sight of that, and maybe we don't even think about the serving size, and we just look at calories. Oh, it's 140 calories, that's plenty. You eat the whole bag and you call it a day, and we don't really think about doing the math. Now, it's simple math, but for many of us, we just don't always think about it and take the time to really understand the food label. The other nice new application that is here is the dual columns that we have. So in food items that have 1 to 2 servings, or a reasonable amount that could potentially be eaten in one serving, these food items are going to contain that dual column to share with you the calories, the nutrients per serving, and then the other column is going to share with you for the entire package, which I love. I love seeing that. So it's going to give you just that good snapshot. If you're realistically gonna sit down and eat the entire container, you're gonna see everything that's in there. So instead of you having to do the math and not doing the math, you've got it there all laid out for you. So just for instance, I know with my cauliflower gnocchi, if I eat one serving, it's 140 calories, but if I wanna eat this whole container, you can't stop me because you're not my real father, it's 330 calories. So it just gives me that quick information, and I love that it's big, it's bold, it's in your face. That's what we need. Our attention span is so short that we really need to quickly grab the consumer and say, look at me, this is what's in here, and then hopefully pull you into the rest of the nutrition facts panel. But if not, at least you're getting the loudest information quick. So for packaging that's 1 to 2 servings, for instance, my arch nemesis, the Coca-Cola bottle that's 20 ounces, I don't know how many times I have worked with patients and clients that would look at that bottle and think it's just 1 serving, because that's what makes sense, right? Like, who's sitting down and only drinking half a Coca-Cola? Most people don't do that. It's kind of like you eat half a protein bar and put it in your purse. Nobody does that. We eat the entire thing. So I like that the labeling changes now reflect what's eaten in a reasonable sitting. So for most of us, we're going to drink an entire soda. So instead of it having 2 or 2.5 servings on that Coca-Cola, it's going to share with you the information for drinking the entire bottle. I don't know why it took us so long to do this, but these types of things that have to come from the FDA, they don't come overnight, and they are heavily studied and researched. So, I guess I shouldn't be judging why it took 20 years to do this, but I'm just happy we're here and we're doing it, because I think for any of us, when you sit down, all right, let's take the Coca-Cola out of the picture, because a lot of you guys maybe don't drink sugared beverages, but you do go to the Cheesecake Factory on occasion. Do you feel me on this one? I mean, we love Cheesecake Factory, right? And you might be thinking, hey, I want to get myself a nice fat slice of cheesecake, and I'm not going to worry a little thing about it. But then you walk up to the cheesecake counter and you see the lovely calories are all listed for the cheesecake. Now, a lot of restaurants started doing this with nutritionals, and I've heard so many mixed reviews on this. People hate it. And the reason they hate it is because they have to come to terms with reality of what they may be consuming. And for a lot of people, we want it out of sight, out of mind. We don't want to think about it, right? We just want to eat our cheesecake and enjoy it. And trust me, girl, I get you. I do that too. But there is a level of responsibility on your part as the consumer to understand what you're consuming. So I've heard so many people hate that because they look and they're like, it's 1,600 calories for a slice of cheesecake. For some people, that's what you eat in an entire day of eating and 1 dessert. So I think with this change, and the point I'm trying to drive home is for packaging, such as your sodas and things that are just 1 to 2 servings, you're really going to see that and be able to make a better decision if that's a healthier item for you to choose or not, or if it's worth it or not. And I'm really excited about that. And I really do hope that this assists people with their shopping and with just choosing foods a little bit healthier for you. So in general, the changes are just going to reflect what we eat overall, what's more realistic, what's a more realistic portion for what you and I sit down and eat. And the reality of this is that 20 years ago, when the food labels were changed, our portion sizes were different, right? So we're here now in 2020, and what we're eating larger volumes of food and beverages. So we need the labels to accurately reflect that for us. All right, so other changes as we're going down through the label, you will notice that calories from fat are no longer on the food label. They decided, and I agree with all these changes, but calories from fat, kind of who cares, right? It's not really important. We know that the amount of calories coming from fat doesn't really dictate our health or disease risk. We more so want to focus on what types of fat are you eating and what % of your diet is coming from the different fat sources, so that you will see no change with on the label in terms of fat. But fat from calories, it's gone. We don't need it. However, you will get your breakdown of total fat, saturated, trans fats, and the percent daily value consumed from those. One of my favorite changes for you guys to look at on the nutrition facts panel now as well is going to be under the carbohydrate section and how we've now broken it down. Been talking about this for a while, and that differentiation between natural occurring sugars and added sugars. So you're now going to have the benefit of seeing in the food items that you're consuming, it will give you the total grams of fiber still, the total carbohydrate, and then it's going to list total sugars and then include additional sugars. So you're going to have that line now that's going to tell you what sugars have been added in, how many grams of added sugar, and there will be a percent daily value on that as well, because according to the dietary guidelines, we shouldn't be consuming more than 10% added sugars, 10% of our calories from added sugars in the diet. That gives you a little guideline to look at. I tell folks not to just, you kind of have to figure out what you're going to focus on when it comes to eating and selecting your foods. You know, is it high enough in fiber? Is it low enough in sugar? Does it give me the protein? Do I get the vitamin D? You can absolutely drive yourself nuts, and I'm not telling you to go through the grocery store and nitpick every single food item, but it does just help make you a bit more informed about some of the items you're consuming. You know, things like our whole grains. I think you should absolutely be selecting whole grains, cereals, breads, pastas, things like that. But now it gives you the opportunity to look and recognize, are there added sugars? Do I want a cereal that has a ton of added sugars to it? Or can I make a healthier choice? And that's really what it's all about, and what I preach here to you guys on the YouTubes. There's no perfect way of eating. It's just about finding a healthier approach and making choices that reflect living a healthier lifespan and consuming those foods that support a healthier life, a healthier body, a healthier you, and prevention of disease risk. So the addition of the added sugars, I think, is huge, and it's such a good little bit of information for you that's brand new, because so many of us don't actually go and look at the ingredients panel to really know what's in there. If you do, great, but even still, you may look at the ingredients and not necessarily understand what's naturally occurring versus what's added into that product. I hear so many times people think cane sugar, oh, it's cane sugar, so it's healthy. So in the example of cane sugar, is it something that's naturally occurring, or did they add a ton of cane sugar to it? So it is important to note the difference in that. I think it can help you with making better selections. And the higher the sugar, the added sugar, the higher those calories are going to be. And again, depending on your own medical issues, that might be something that you do have to hone in on and focus on more. But this one, I'm really excited about that change. I think those are some of the biggest, most important changes, but as you move down to the lower portion of the nutrition facts panel, where you used to have all the vitamins and minerals that were required, there are some changes there to note as well. We have now made it a requirement that vitamin D and potassium need to be included on the label. So you're going to see that listed and how many grams it contains, and then again your percent daily value for what you're going to be consuming from that item. Vitamin A and vitamin C were previous requirements. Food manufacturers have the opportunity to leave those on there. That's optional. A and C are no longer a requirement. Reason being because we don't really suffer from deficiencies with vitamin A and vitamin C. Those are not areas that we have found to be deficient, where if you compare to vitamin D, even in places where you get sunshine all year round, we have major issues with vitamin D deficiency as well as potassium, believe it or not. So this is why some of these changes are being made. It's to get the consumer to be focusing on those areas that are just a bit more important that we do need to focus on. In terms of sodium, fiber, and vitamin D, you're going to see updates just to the percent daily value. You may not even notice. I don't necessarily have people focus a ton on the percent daily value. It's not bad to, but those have been updated to more reflect the current standards, the 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines. So there are some changes there. And then you'll also see the note 4% daily value that is a bit more abbreviated at the bottom of the food label, and it's a bit more clear what they're telling of you in that little description, whereas before I think it was just, it lost people what that percent daily value meant, which it is based on what they say is just a general 2,000 calorie diet, which, as you guys know, everyone's caloric needs are a little bit different. For the sake of doing a food label though, you do have to kind of hone in on one caloric value in terms of giving you those daily values and what percentage it meets. So you guys kind of have to be aware of that as well. That's gonna wrap up the major changes that are happening to the food label. So I want you guys to keep your eyes open, start taking a look at things you're buying. Like I said, depending on the amount of sales, some food manufacturers aren't being held to that standard until 2021, but you probably will see the majority of things are already updated. People are trying to get ahead of it, as well as supplement companies. That's something you can check on as well with your protein bars and things like that. So I think these are all good changes. I think it makes things a little more clear. Maybe not, but I do think this reflects good changes that will help us make healthier choices. So if you guys have any questions at all about reading the food label, the changes that are happening, or why, please let me know down in the comments below. Please hit that like button, share this with others. Did you guys even know there were changes coming to the food label? I want to know. You know, not everyone knows about this stuff, so I'm here to keep you guys informed and updated. So make sure you are subscribed before you head on out of the channel. That way you don't miss any of these kinds of important updates, so that I can help you guys be healthier versions of yourself. I will see you in the next video.